platforms that we're on now. It's more than just Twitch.
Hi, streaming
Hi,
platforms.
Hi,
Internet.
world.
Okay, so today is basically just a general feedback hour. We've got a couple of topics to cover that'll take mostly, a couple of seconds that Kara will cover. Sorry, it's so loud in the office right now. We got some huge mouths sitting around me. Um, and some diaphragms, which are working hard right now. Anyway, Carrie's going to cover a couple of topics, and I hope you all are ready just to sort of talk about what's on your mind. We're going to have a little therapy session here, so lean back, recline, and get ready to talk about your home life or your Sansar life, which might be one and the same. But let's go ahead and get started. Kara.
Hey there. So mic working? All right. So as everybody knows, Avatar 2.0 is coming really soon. So I just want to give out a reminder, like we have the creator program that's still ongoing. So if you're interested in submitting your assets for testing, please submit them through the portal, and I'm happy to ferry them to the team for testing. In addition to that, as part of the creator program, there has been a couple of questions from some of the users who've submitted assets about Marvelous Designer Clothing and how the 1.0 Marvelous Designer Clothing will work once we have 2.0. So the way it'll work is, well, when we release after 2.0, we're also going to release new Marvelous Designer tools, which allows you to scale, translate, and rotate the Marvelous Designer assets so you can fit it a lot better on an avatar. I believe internally we've tested this. Like one of the engineers tried putting one of the clothing assets for a human person on one of the boar avatars, and it actually worked well. Even though the boar was like a lot huger, a lot bigger in size, we were able to drape the clothing there. So, as end users, somebody who bought your clothing asset, Marvelous Designer clothing asset, can adjust the clothing to fit their avatars, whether it's like the new Avatar 2.0 base avatar or a custom avatar like the shark or any other avatars. So yeah, so I just want to give it a heads up. In any case, we can continue on with the feedback.
All right, so now is everybody's time to talk. So I know. Anyways, by the way, anything that we've been talking about in Discord, big conversations that we're having, that those are everything's up for sort of conversation right now. So don't hold back right now. A lot of times people are will say, hey, why haven't we gotten an answer on this? This is the time for that. And I know that sometimes I just want to throw this out there before we begin a conversation that might get lively. I guess I would call it. Everybody's ideas you might not agree with, but that doesn't mean you can shut down the conversation. So just keep that in mind while folks are talking, because I know folks in a close community like this, obviously we have disagreements, but everybody deserves to have their voice to be heard. So just keep that in mind, and then we'll go ahead and get started on these questions. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
I have one question before we start.
Yeah.
Is this shark a Linden I missed with the microphone or just a random person?
Shark, do you have an answer?
An emotional support shark.
We did that to ourselves. You know what? We can't blame anybody else. That was my fault. That was my bad.
Goodness.
All right, baby shark. Thanks for coming. Welcome to the game. Probably not a Linden. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get. You know what? But maybe it deserves. Maybe
I
that's.
just wanted to make sure I didn't miss someone with the megaphone.
Well, that was what happened in my job interview. They're like, sing Baby Shark, and then I did it. So, okay, here we go. Daisy is on the board. Daisy says, sometimes it would be nice to give people a discount during, for instance, Black Friday, and it is time-consuming to go through each listing one by one. So wouldn't it be a good idea to offer us a bulk edit in our store listing for things like prices?
Yeah, that's good feedback. Currently, we don't have that in the roadmap, but it is something definitely we've been considering as part of the commerce roadmap. Like in the future, we do want to give you the ability to have discounted sales as well as the ability to bulk edit your listings. We'll definitely take that into consideration as we plan ahead.
Great. Daisy, and I know you know this, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so if you keep asking, we'll keep being reminded of it, and someday we'll have some good news about this roadmap thing you keep hearing about. Okay. Asha Sakaya. All right. Out. Get out. There's no door here, but if there was one, you just jump through the roof if you want to. Love anime. Wow. I thought we were going to get past it today. All right, let's put heels on the list. Just go ahead and throw it on there, Stanley. We'll answer it later.
We got verse says we.
Just a guy asked, is the lab open to revisiting the triangle limit on hair? A number of hair creatives, which is a crazy phrase, by the way, a number of hair creatives have commented on needing a higher limit to accommodate headgear, plus hair, or more complex curly hair designs.
Yeah, so, yeah, go ahead. But yeah, we've talked about it. We're considering increasing some of the limits. It probably won't be anytime soon, but we are thinking of ways on how we can enable you to have more triangle limits, you know, not just with the hair, but with other assets as well.
Great. Bagnaria asks a follow-up question. Will there be a few new default hairstyles?
Yes, so we are going to change the new default hairstyle. So all of the default hairstyles that we have with 1.0 will be replaced. They're all going away. We're exchanging them with new ones. All I can say is they all look great, especially with the new Avatar 2.0. I know you're all going to be excited once you see them. And in relation to that, we're also changing out a couple of things in the inventory as well, such as the way you know skin works. Currently, you can use a color picker to pick the color of the skin, right? Moving forward, we'll only have a couple of textures, and eventually, in a few months' time, will allow you to upload and sell your own textures as well. Yep. What else are we changing? We're also changing the inventory of clothing. The clothing we have will also be going away, and we're going to replace it with a new set of clothing. Good question.
Okay, Dalibut asks, and we'll go ahead and get Dalibut's answer before they're banned for their comments in chat. I don't know if it's been mentioned, but I'm asking on behalf of Carmel, who is now actually here. In the future, will there ever be volume sliders in the UI that are able to change the experience and voice volume? It could be expanded from buttons underneath the mic button, for example. It would be neat considering how often people go into settings and change the volume to tweak each situation/experience.
Is the question more like just surface those settings at a higher level so you don't have to dive so deep to get to them?
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's basically it. It's just ease of access. I mean, it's like a lazy option.
Yeah, no, I hear you totally. And even like individual user controls or object-specific sound controls, things like that. I hear you.
Man, I have one question.
Please
Dennis, put your
questions in the chat.
Yeah,
Thank
write
you.
it in chat, Dennis. Think so.
Do
All
you
right.
hear me?
Yes, please put your question in the chat. So if you open up the chat on the left side menu, it's under Socialize. You can write your question, and we will get to it when it's your turn. Loki asks on Twitch, any news on support for Valve Index headset users?
I don't have an update on that. It's definitely something we want to get to at some point, but our render team is pretty busy these days. I'll ask around and see where that is on their priority stack, though. We definitely do want to get to that.
What I do know is that we got a couple of those headsets on order so that we will be able to work on getting them working.
Well, I want to play with one, so hopefully one
How
of
about
those is
you
coming
send
to me.
one right to me? Those are awesome.
All right. I don't know. Dennis, do you know how to use the chat? Because
I know, man, I know, but I have a question. It's not important.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll get to it. Evo
Okay,
Av.
I put right now.
Okay, cool, great. Evo Av asks, I'm curious about two things. One, what kind of update can you give us about script persistence? Do you have general direction or have an idea of all the needed use cases? And two, regarding the recent discussion on, well, let's answer that first one first. What kind of update can you give us on script persistence?
I just got out of a meeting talking just about all the different use cases that
Ooh, serendipity.
have documented so far that are, coming from our own minds and also talking with a bunch of you. And trying to go through the different ways we think we might implement persistence and identify which of those use cases would work or wouldn't. So we're kind of in the midst of doing that now. Nix might have more technical insight, but that's kind of the high-level view.
Yeah, we're still talking through the different architectural approaches, what use cases they would solve and wouldn't solve, and trying to figure out what a good version 1 is going to be. It won't solve all use cases in the first version, but we're trying to make sure that we get something that we can get out in a reasonable amount of time that is going to be generally useful for as many use cases as possible, and then we'll extend it as necessary.
Great. Okay. Evo's follow-up question, or the second part of his question, is regarding the recent discussion on Discord about the XP point system. Are you going to make any changes to it from what you have planned so far?
I can take this one. Thanks for all the feedback you've been giving us. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily making changes. We are, a lot of the things that you have been bringing up, we've already been considering. So you're sort of on the right track of the same concerns that we have. But it's really good to hear your feedback. We're open to making changes, but right now we're designing a system that we hope will already accommodate some of the feedback that you've given us. We share a lot of the same concerns that you have.
Okay, great. Next we have Lovo Anime. Will the new avatar have flexi animatable bones for things like hair?
Not currently planned, no.
All right.
We would eventually like to allow you to add attachments that have their own skeletons and be able to play animations on those skeletons, but that's a more long-term project. We won't have that for the initial launch of Avatar 2.
Okay.
We're going to grease those wheels, though.
Grease those wheels. All right. So Daisy asks, I heard bundling items in the store was on the roadmap. Is it still on the roadmap? And if yes, what's the progress on that?
So it's currently not on the roadmap, but it is something that we are considering eventually to add in the roadmap. But it's on the horizon, but no progress so far on that.
I love the tactic of...
That term can also mean several things depending on which use case you're talking about. If you want to be able to select a set of items in Edit World, take that into inventory as one inventory item and sell that inventory item in the marketplace so that when it gets dragged back into the world, the consumer gets a bunch of objects in their world. That does exist currently. But we've also talked about in the future wanting to do different things to try and allow listings to be bundled together so that all the shirts that are the same but different colors are in the same listing. That kind of thing is the kind of thing that we haven't gotten to yet.
That'll be cool, though.
But yeah, we're definitely aware that we're definitely aware that would be very useful because we definitely see the marketplace and what people are having to do to get all the colors in, and we definitely want to get to that at some point.
Cool.
All right. Asha asked, are there any plans to add a post-processing shader or shaders?
There are some available in Edit World. Which ones are you looking for that you don't have access to?
Asha, go ahead and add that answer in chat, and Alex will take a look at that. Carmel asks, also, if you want to organize an event, I noticed we can only host them in our own experiences. Will there be access to using Sansar-created experiences as a venue in the future?
That's the long-term goal, is that we recognize that right now, to be an event host, you also have to be a world creator. And we recognize that that's not realistic for everybody. So in the future, we eventually do want people to focus entirely on events, and maybe they would borrow or buy or something. They would have access to someone else's worlds. There are still several steps we want to take to improve the event system before that happens, but know that we do want to make that happen at some point.
Right now, as a sort of temporary fix, if you want to host an event somewhere, in a Sansar experience specifically, or somebody else's experience. There's a couple of things that would probably have to happen. Ask that person if it's okay. But if it's a Sansar experience, let me or Lacey know what kind of event you want to hold, and we can help you out. So that way you're not sort of cut off from hosting events just because you haven't built a world. So
Absolutely, and if you want to do any of them in like Skyway Avenue 1 or any of the other ones, like a concert, anything, just ask. Usually don't bite.
And if there are specific types of venues that you'd like to see, we can always look into trying to get the creation of some more templates on our backlog that can be published. So that's just a couple quick steps to create an experience with that base venue, even if you don't want to do a deep dive into editing tools.
Cool. Okay. Next, we have Zero Cheese. Question. Following the sound volume questions, individual sound controls would help a lot. Some users are very loud, some are very quiet, and some I may not want to hear at all, but I don't want to mute or block them. Can that be looked into?
It's certainly a great idea and something I think we intend to look into.
Okay, good job, Zero Cheese. Medhugh asks, in December, the commission rate will be raised to around 62%. Does the lab plan on adjusting that rate before December? Can the lab speak more on their plans for the cash-out rate?
So thanks for the question. We've been having a lot of internal discussions around this. There currently aren't plans to change it, but we recognize that there have been a lot of questions and concerns around why the rate is what it is. We don't have the right people here today to talk about it, and we are working on figuring out the best way forward to address your concerns. So we don't have anything new to talk about right now. Hopefully we'll have some update on that in the weeks to come.
I'll keep everybody updated on that in Discord. The more I know, when I find out something, I'll let you guys know. Okay. Zero Cheese asks, another question. Any word on the ability to direct TPs to different experiences, X, Y, Z coordinates, rather than the user landing in a spawn point? I've talked with several experience creators, and a lot would love to put building interiors in a different experience. And when they walk back out the door, they shouldn't be brought back to the main experience spawn point.
Yep. It's a good thought. I'm not sure where it would land on the roadmap right now, but it's a really good idea that I want to put on somewhere. So I'm writing it down as we speak.
Yeah, we're not just answering questions here. Like all the suggestions and feedback you're giving us, we're taking notes on, and we're trying to balance against all the features you ask for and all the features we know we want to get to. So even if we don't have direct answers to tell you when this stuff is happening, it's always helpful to let us know.
Follow up on the use cases of that, please let us know some more details. Would you want to have that be a specific spawn point that would have to be specifically requested, and so they would show up in the internal area of that experience? Or would you want to specify XYZ coordinates in a heading? Do you want to restrict at the experience level permissions on who or what scripts can get a user to jump directly into that interior as opposed to the default spawn point? Like what specific parameters and use cases are you trying to solve with that so that we can keep that in mind when we get around to it?
All right, just have those use cases ready, and when you're ready to talk about them, we'll send them on over to the team. Granddad got Mojo. Any chance that scene settings that are associated with rendering will be available to scripts?
Depends on which settings you're talking about. Ones that are pre-computed at baking time when we're going from editing to runtime probably won't be available to scripts because that would be expensive to recompute on the fly. But if there are specific ones that would be easy to change at runtime, then we can look into it. I don't think we have specific plans around that, but if there's a specific request, we can investigate it.
All right. Timey Master, can we get a test size option for the Sansar UI? On my 4K monitor, it's hard to see what you are doing and what people are saying. 2 exclamation points. Two exclamation points.
Yeah, just because there's 2 exclamation points, I'll answer. It's a definitely known issue. I think one of the blessings for you is that the lead designer that we have also uses a 4K monitor and runs into this issue on a daily basis. So that's the squeakiest wheel you can possibly have to fix that problem. So I don't know off the top of my head where it is on the roadmap to fix the UI scaling issue. I just know that it will get fixed at some point.
Okay. Loki asks, how long before quests get their own topic in the Atlas? I suppose this is because right now it's hard to find where quests are if you want to do a bunch of them. That's the origin.
Yeah, that's something we want to do. Where right now the team that would be working on any quest related features is actually busy building out the quest tools and making sure that you guys can actually build quests, build the best quests you can. That's the same people who would be working on how do we get quests to show up in the Atlas. So we want to do it where we're trying to find space to make it happen.
Excellent. Okay. Eminem, I believe this is your first product meetup, so welcome. A couple of questions. 1, will there be an option to change character name?
So for one, we don't encourage changing the character name. If you have any store listings or experience names, they are tied to your character name. So if you change your character name, which is essentially your avatar name, your links to those listings or Atlas experiences will break, and you won't be able to access them anymore, edit them. But if you really need to change your name, you can reach out to support and maybe they can help you out. But just as a heads up, there are some repercussions if you change your name.
Basically,
Yeah, feel free to submit a ticket and we'll look into it, but it's definitely not encouraged for the reasons that Kara just mentioned.
Okay. The second question from MNM is, can you add a button to easily favorite the experience that you are currently in? I believe that exists.
I don't think that exists right now.
You can't favorite the one that you're in?
Yeah, you can't do that.
I mean, you'd have to go to the Atlas and find it and favorite it, but has nothing to do with whether you're in it or not.
Oh, good point. Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we'd like to do. We don't have plans for it, but it's been brought up several times, and yeah, no plans yet, but I'm definitely gonna write that down.
Thank you.
Welcome again, Eminem. Tia Winters, could we get a toggle to turn off voice in our personal experiences? Did anybody hear that?
Alex?
I didn't hear the question, sorry.
Can we get a toggle to turn off voice in our experiences?
Like experience-wide voice is off?
Yeah.
Maybe?
That's a great answer.
What's the use case for wanting to have a silent experience?
Role play.
I see.
Ooh.
Old-fashioned hand typing role play.
All right.
Okay, yeah, we'll add that to our list. Again, all these things are things that we want to be able to make sure we're hearing from you, and we'll balance them against each other and figure out which ones make sense for the upcoming releases if we can get to them.
And some things like that one, for example, come with other considerations too. Like if an experience doesn't allow you to speak, should we present that on the Atlas at some levels that you don't jump in and wonder why you can't talk to anyone? So there's other considerations sometimes.
What if you had 2 channels, like you had a channel where people can talk and one where they're silent, I guess?
Even more considerations.
Yeah, and generally we eventually want to invest in a system where we can present to users some information about what kind of an experience something is from the Atlas. So letting you know before you teleport there, is teleporting enabled? Is voice enabled? Are all of these things enabled? Does it have quests? That kind of thing, so that we can show people before they load an entire scene what kind of experience they're heading into.
Great. Okay. Next, love some people asked. In build mode, we only have saturation boost sliders for scene settings window. Can we get a hue slider as well?
An interesting idea. I don't know if we can, but I'll write the idea down.
All right. Love anime. Is there a way to lock interactive things for games for event hosts so trolls can't ruin events and games?
You mean like make the object specific to only specific people? Sorry,
Yeah,
make the object
we had an incident
interactive.
the other day during Mario's light show, where a certain troll who's really getting annoying to us got blocked by many people and started jumping on to Mario's console and just switched on everything in it. I think it broke it, but it just ended the event. We all cancelled it.
That's
Console could have been scripted to avoid that issue.
That's what I was
It's
going to say.
easy to limit the controls.
Yep.
It is already.
Yeah, that's what we do on concerts that we host. Is we have the lighting controls scripted to only respond to a certain whitelisted set of people.
And then additionally, additionally, you have a trigger volume that kicks people out if they get too close.
Just another thought regarding trolls. Can there be a unanimous decision by a crowd to get the troll out of the experience?
Like a vote kick from experience?
Yeah, because when we block them, they're invisible and they just run around still causing havoc.
Vote kick from experience is an interesting notion.
All right. We'll think about that apparently. Virtual decadence. Why would a creator invest months in creating original content for a quest experience? Is there any way to monetize that effort?
I heard something about monetization and experiences, but I was writing that on a note. Sorry.
Okay.
Building complex experiences. What's the incentive? How can creators monetize building complex experiences with quests?
A really good question. I think a lot of people are still figuring out how to do that within Sansar, both you guys and us. I think if any of us had the magic bullet right now, you'd already see an experience doing it.
It's an issue we're thinking about as well. Obviously, we have a monetization flow for objects and for avatars and avatar clothing. We've been testing out events, and you can buy tickets to events, and that's so we're testing to see how well that works. We do eventually want to, because again, as I mentioned before, we recognize that one creator in Sansar can't do everything. They can't run events, they can't build the world, they can't build avatar stuff. So every creator is different. And if you happen to be someone who just wants to build a really complicated world and engaging world, we want to find a way for you to be able to profit from that as well. So we don't have a great setup in place now, but it's something that we're thinking about.
And like one of the things like an experienced creator might be able to do down the line to profit just from building experiences, we had this whole events discussion earlier, and someone who wants to host an event doesn't want to build an experience and vice versa. So potentially you could sell an experience as an event template, and anytime that's used, you get some sort of rental fee. I'm just kind of spitballing ideas here, but those are the types of things that experienced creators could start to profit from in the future.
Okay. Yep. All right. Zero cheese. We often miss notifications all the time, mainly incoming messages. Can there be an option in settings to disable a sound, like a ding or something, when we receive the notification of an incoming message? And maybe take it a step further and give the user the option to change it to a custom sound on their system.
Custom sound.
Zero cheese loves custom sounds.
Yeah, what are you at, like 27 cheese at this point now? But yeah,
Don't we get feedback on our hands when we get a message too?
if you're in VR, I don't have a Rumble mouse keyboard set up.
Rumble Mouse. That sounds like a bad EDM ripoff of Dead Mouse. Okay, that's the last question I have so far, unless some other ones are coming in. Remember, you guys can also give feedback. You don't always have to ask questions. So go ahead and just think about the things you've been wanting to say. Okay, we got another one coming in. Asha asks, are there any plans to add a decal shader or a hair shader? Wow, with an wow, I don't know what this word is. With an anisotropic map input, so that we can manually control. In other words, will any new shaders be added in the future, or are there current ones in the final shader amount?
We're always open to adding more shaders. We're probably going to keep adding them as time goes on. I don't know of specific plans to add specific shaders at this point. The render team is heads down focused on some big projects at the moment. But as people have requests for specific shaders, I am passing them along and happy to continue doing that. And we'll see which ones we can turn out.
All right. Medhugh says fur shader, sort of as a highlight to that. Okay, what else do we have here? What are the big... Oh, this is a good one from Granddad Got Mojo. What are the projects you are focusing on? The big projects that we can talk about, probably.
Yeah, definitely. After 2.0 is one of them. It's been a couple of months since we started working on it, and we're really excited to release it really, really soon. Likely in the next release.
And then obviously all this questing work, both the tools to let you guys create quests and ultimately storylines and characters associated with those quests, but then also all our own story content and quest content and the new experiences that are associated with those places that you'll see in the near future.
Right, and Stanley, you mentioned earlier that we are also working on an XP system, so that's another big project we are currently working on.
Are there any fun hints we can give about what we're working on that we can't explicitly say?
I don't know where we draw the line right now, so I'm going to err on the side of caution.
We have some new quests in the works. I feel comfortable saying that.
I think we've spilled that much already.
Yeah.
We're also making a total transition to first-person shooter soon, so hopefully everybody's ready for that.
As far as the render team's concerned, since I've talked about them being busy, as folks know, we have done a geometry LOD system for avatars. They're currently working on extending that to texture LODs, so that we can hopefully be a little bit kinder to graphics memory going forward as we get crowded scenes, and eventually they want to extend those systems to scene content as well, so that people can build large scenes without having to have the full detail of everything always in memory at all the time, to support bigger scenes with more people in them.
Okay, cool. Love some people. Are there any plans in the future to add trade items between players directly in the world?
I just want more clarity on the question. Like, I find something in the world and I hand it to you and now you own it? Or, like, I take my shirt off and give it to you and now you have my shirt? Or what do you mean exactly?
Or is it getting an item from your inventory and trading up another user?
Love some people. Why don't you go ahead and clarify that, and we'll get back to it when we hear back from you. Asha, once we are able to upload textures for the avatar, will we have a layer system for makeup, tattoos, etc.?
The first round will just be uploading and selling base level skin textures, but we definitely want to extend into a layer system in the future. So it's going to come in stages, but eventually, yes.
Nice. All right, we're currently at the end of our questions here, so we'll be waiting for more. In the meantime, High Heels. Oh, there we go, mate here.
Well, how long will it be between the Avatar 2.0 release and the body slider release? Because that's a long period to be stuck in a body that's kind of not appealing.
Story of my
to
life,
many people.
Hugh.
So it'll take some time. There are a couple of things that need to be worked on before we can have the full body deformation. One of those is definitely, after hooking up the licensing system into the Avatar system, so that as the idea is once you have the full body deformation system, you as creators or even any user can utilize the Avatar 2.0 system and create your own avatars, which you can also sell in the store, so that when users buy them from the store, they can and they will be able to adjust it with the sliders and the bone deformation tools. So until we have avatar licensing for the system to know like who has edited a specific avatar, we need to get that hooked up first. There are a couple of things like that we are also alluded to earlier, like texture layering to enable tattoos and makeup, also the ability to change the skin texture of the avatars. Those are a couple of projects that we want to tackle first a little bit earlier than body deformation. So it's going to be a little bit longer time, but I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be like more than a year probably. So within a year or so, probably less. So that's an estimate.
Believe us, we are very excited for body deformation and want to get it out as soon as possible.
Yes.
It's just going to be a big project to handle clothing on a wide variety of body shapes.
Yes, that's another thing that we also have to account for. Once you have body deformation, it will also affect the marketplace. So there's going to be a lot more fragmentation, kind of like in Second Life, where once you have different body shapes, some clothing will not fit it. So we also need to update our marketplace so that it'll be easier for all of you to be able to browse it and make sure that the items that you are looking at are compatible with the avatar that you're wearing.
I don't want to sound like a killjoy. Go ahead, Majid.
Well, I just envision people, like, if we don't have nice bodies, I just envision people immediately going to custom avatars. So.
That's a long period to wait to adjust the body. It's almost like maybe Avatar 2.0 should come out altogether, because that is going to cause major, major bad publicity for Sansar. If 2.0 comes out and the body is not up to standard, then even if they don't even do research to log on and do it, even if they just see pictures, it's going to really cause issues. It's already issues now. It's almost like, hell, wait another year and have it all come out together so that it's really nice looking.
So I just said a year to give it a leeway, but it's definitely not going to be a year in terms of timelines. It's definitely going to be much sooner. But again, we usually don't give a specific date, so I just said a year. So it's like a really rough estimate.
It will be significantly less than a year, but we're still designing that system and the projects that need to come before that system. So we just don't want to make promises on exactly what the time frame is, because we don't know the time frame yet. Quite frankly, we want to get it as soon as we can.
Sitting on it, and to have something half cooked is not going to be really beneficial to Sansar.
At the same time, we don't want to just sit on a huge avatar change for a year and wait until we have dozens of features that are all going out at the same time with no user feedback. So we've chosen that we have a good base for the Avatar 2 launch, and we're going to continue to extend and iterate on it as time goes on. And body deformation is definitely high on the list of things we want to get to. But we don't want to just go dark and not give folks updates and have people continue to be toiling away on an avatar base that we know we're going to get rid of. So we're trying to make that switch as early as possible.
And I will be putting out, I have kits and people have bought them, so I will be updating them. So people will be able to upload custom avatars as soon as I'm done with the kits.
Awesome.
Sorry, my computer froze. Okay, I'm back. Can you guys hear me? Yep. Oh, all right. Let's see. What do we have next here? Push to talk, which apparently is PTT. I learned something new today. The M toggle is. Yeah, the M toggle is close, but still can be left on. Maybe we can use the V key for PTT, which I believe sort of refers back to a larger conversation we've had about changing key bindings. So maybe we can talk about both of those things.
Yeah, so you guys now have push to talk on the M key. That's a bit of a reach for some people like me. So yeah, we could move the key to something a little bit closer to WASD, and then obviously there's the whole conversation around just letting you guys rebind keys for whatever you want. So that's a whole separate task. But yeah, if we wanted to move push to talk to a different button, that's pretty simple. We just have to pick the button.
Okay, cool. Loki asks, can you change the pose used when adjusting MD clothing so the legs are wider? I'm often struggling to stop my pant legs sticking together.
Can you explain by pant legs sticking together? Is that after you press done adjusting?
Yeah, I'm assuming that the legs are close enough together. If your pants are loose enough, they're close enough to each other that the auto rigger is going to try and rig part of one pant leg to the other leg, or at least be influenced by it. Yeah, flared pants do that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So from what I know, we can change the pose. Yeah, but it is the issues with flared legs though is something that we are looking into to see what we can do in order to improve that. Thanks for the feedback on that.
Part of the challenge is that we can't go back and change the initial starting position of old pants. And so if we just move the legs, then it might be hard to get old pants to actually be positioned correctly if we substantially change the pose. But we're looking into what's possible.
All right. Go ahead, Celis.
Toggle the pose, like, okay, keep the pose as is in lookbook, then you dress it from the inventory, and then you can toggle if you want to an A pose where the legs are further apart, so they don't auto rig to each other. And then it's a choice if you do that.
The challenge is you might be wearing some stuff that was designed with one pose and some stuff that was designed for the other.
No, you keep the initial pose as is, right? But then you give the user a toggle in the interface if they want to all of a sudden repose the avatar to A pose before they.
Right, but you might be wearing another garment that was designed for the other pose. Yeah, so you really need to be able to do one simulation in one pose, finalize that garment, and then do the simulation on the other pose. And you might have to keep switching back and forth, so that starts to get confusing for the consumer. So yeah, we're looking into what's possible. It's definitely a frustration we hear, and want to see what we can do that doesn't get confusing for the end customer.
You know, improved camera controls in the dressing room would be a huge
yes, very much
benefit.
So. And better lighting.
Also, just camera controls in general. Like we just played a little bit in Science Space, and like one thing they absolutely nail is like camera controls. You can do cutscenes, and it's really awesome stuff. So I hope we have that on the roadmap at some point.
Okay, cool. Ari Lynn asks, seems like many times features run into the need for licensing considerations, which makes sense. Are there plans to just look at licensing in general so you do not keep tweaking and stuff to licensing?
I don't understand the question.
I don't either. I'm looking at it. Hold on. Just making sure I'm reading it right. Are there plans to just look at licensing in general so you do not keep tweaking and stuff? I'm not sure what that means, Ari Lynn. Maybe you can follow up. But anyways,
take a guess.
Ari says, I fear you may paint yourself into corners if you implement licensing piecemeal.
think what they're trying to say is that, we keep on saying that, oh, we need to work on licensing. So they're asking if you can just work on it in one go instead of working at piecemeal. Is that
Might
what
be
it
the
is?
case, but if that is the case, that's just not an efficient way for us to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the example of avatars and wanting to be able to sell avatars, we need to build out a licensing system for that. The same is true for experiences or being able to rent experiences or use them for events. We need some sort of licensing.
We have built a base licensing infrastructure that can be reused and extended, and so we have talked through a ton of use cases in building that base system in ways that we know we're going to want to extend it, so we make sure we're not painting ourselves into a corner or preventing use cases we know we want to get to down in the future. But we also needed to make sure that we could get the first version of that out the door and users' hands before we implemented all of the features that we eventually want to get to. So that's why we have some pretty extensive licensing options in the layout editor, and we're going to soon extend that to the avatar editor, and then we're going to look into extending it further as we go along.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. Somebody's in the middle of saying something.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. So as we mentioned, we need Avatar license. We need the licensing system integrated into Avatar system. So that is something that we are going to work on now, and that will enable a bunch of things. Body deformation, selling skin textures. There's something we also call selling face presets. So as you all know, face modification is the first thing that we're gonna have with Avatar 2.0. So since you cannot sell the full body yet, you can sell at least a face preset and create different face shapes that you can share with others. And then also texture layering, which will enable tattoos, makeup. So all of those will be enabled by the license system. So we are actually working on it already, or working towards that already.
All right then. Granddad, are you going to change key bindings?
Key bindings are always subject to change, but I think the ultimate goal there is giving you guys something in the settings to be able to just rebind them as you see fit. So, I mean, we're obviously not going to make forward, backward, or backwards forward anytime soon, but, push to talk might change or something else might change until we give you fully customizable, remappable keys.
Daisy asks in follow-up to something, but can't you add more poses after the default pose? This is perhaps related to that MD legs sticking together pose earlier.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to add multiple poses for actually doing the look creation. But if we wanted to add more poses to show like what your avatar is going to look like in different poses, or play some animations, that kind of thing, so you can see a bit more dynamic of what your avatar is going to look like, that is possible. I don't know that we have specific plans other than just previewing emotes at the moment. But that would be a little bit easier to do.
All right.
To bring in a custom avatar, you have to alpha out the whole body. Since the head will be able to change, is there any way that we can bring in custom avatars that just go over the body and leave the Sansar head?
So for custom avatars, it's not that the default avatar body is there just alphaed out. The default avatar mesh just isn't there. We just bring in the skeleton.
Is there any way to just have a head and a skeleton?
I don't know.
Well, that will give people the option to have the body they want with the face from Sansar until Sansar's ready for people to start, updating their body via Sansar avatar.
I think, there's nothing technically stopping us from doing that, but it might be more efficient for us to just try and get the body deformation system out first. Because that would take away time and focus from us working on the body deformation system.
Alrighty then. Eminem, can we rearrange our wardrobe, for example, by color or by type of clothing, like T-shirts and dresses? So I believe that's sort of dragging items around in your own lookbook. Is that what you're asking, Eminem?
Yes.
In order to do that, we need a tagging system so that users could tag, hey, this is a red shirt, and it is long sleeve, for example. So you could be able to sort based on those tags. But we would need to create a tagging system for that.
Or like manually, if I do it myself. Just drag and drop.
Like inventory folders or something like that?
Yeah.
Inventory folders, both in terms of avatar editor as well as the layout editor, has definitely been a highly requested feature, having some better ways to organize inventory. And that's a big project. We haven't started that that I know of at the moment, but we've definitely talked about a lot of different options for that. But yeah, it's definitely a use case we're definitely aware would be helpful.
Okay, great. Zero cheese. We've only got 7 minutes left, so we're going to try to get through these ones quickly. Excuse me, Alex. When if you rebind it, can you make it only keep mic on when pressed and cut off when it is misreleased to make it true PTT rather than a toggle? Winky face.
Yeah, we were talking about that in chat, and ideally we should have an option in settings to allow you to set push to talk as a toggle versus a hold option.
Okay, cool. Loki, are there any plans to send Lacey or Galileo to more conventions this year? The answer is yes. Virtual Decadence.
I hope so.
Will high heels be possible with Custom Avatars 2.0? How long until high heels will be a thing in Sansar? The answer is never. Olympus. No, I'm just kidding. Do we want to get back to this high heels question? I wanted to just pass it.
I mean, high heels currently not in the roadmap. That's it.
It's hard to walk down a road in high heels anyway. So. Anyway, wow.
You could make a high heels object, make it dynamic, make it walkable, and then walk onto it in your experience. And now you've got high heels.
Brilliant.
Oh my gosh.
You know, the only reason I don't like...
Just real quick, if we could be considerate of everyone who has been putting their questions in chat, as well as the people on our teams who are taking notes so that we can better address this. Please do keep your questions and feedback to chat as much as possible. Thanks.
Matthew,
Sorry, what was Matt, you gonna say? Yeah.
Go ahead, Matthew. That's bad timing.
What were we talking about?
High heels.
Oh, high heels. If you know, the reason why it's like, if you guys don't do it, they will. You know, that's what it comes down to. Because if people want it, somebody's gonna make it. So if you guys don't, someone will.
We're definitely aware.
Yeah.
But we just have so many core avatar features that we have to get to first. We know it's definitely a highly requested feature, but so are reskinning the avatar, doing body deformation, being able to do texture layering, and definitely understand that if we don't get to high heels, someone will come up with a solution, and it probably won't be optimal, and we'll eventually release a solution that's not ideal. But we're hammering on these features as fast as we can.
Matthew, did you mean they as in our sort of general competition, not other users?
Well, them, us, whomever, not the lab.
Gotcha. All right, Olympus Mons asks, can we get a bigger building box for, like lances or tridents or wizard staffs?
Oh, like the AABB for the avatar, you mean?
I don't know actually where Olympus asked that question, but I assume it's what he's meaning.
Yeah, that was my interpretation.
We can look into it. We recently, a few months ago, changed the bounding box, but we can see what we can do about that. Yeah, I'll talk about it and see what we can do.
Okay, next. Oh, Jesus. Can Linden Lab get Galileo an aubergine chair for his desk? Nope. No.
I have a follow-up, Galileo. Can we get you a raise?
Yeah, we'll do that. Let's do that. I'll take the raise, and then we'll talk about aubergine chairs. Okay. What else we got? Eminem asked, "Is there a place where all of these Q&A are listed?" Yes, but not external facing. We kind of keep track of the Qs, and then the A's are sort of we answer here, but we don't keep them in a sort of external list. Although you can watch all the product meetups if you have 94 hours to spare.
Yeah, and that same list where we keep the questions is also where we list down all the feedback, so that when we talk about road mapping and planning, we definitely consider all of the raised requests and feedback.
Tia's asking this. Oh, sorry, Tia. Can we get a /me action in brackets in chat, please? And then I believe Alex is kind of taking care of that in chat. All right. Actually, it's a good time. We don't have any more questions. So we're done. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Oh, we've got time for one more AMD. Good job. Can we get places where we can apply for a job and earn virtual coins to buy stuff for my avatar? Interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think we have anything like that right now. And can you elaborate a little bit more by what you mean by jobs? Is it something like collaborating with other users, creating avatars for them, for example, or clothing, or some kind of object or scene creation?
Or you could get paid by other creators and Sansar dollars to do stuff. I mean, that's always something you guys can talk about amongst yourselves. I don't think we have any rules against that, do we, Harley?
I mean, I'm just not sure it would. It depends on whether you eventually are eventually looking to process credits, or whether you're happy to use the Sansar dollars earned in that way to buy, say, avatar improvements in the store or such, because gifted Sansar dollars cannot be processed. But yeah, it depends on what you know. But rules-wise, I don't think we have anything against that.
You can also do some sort of back alley deal where you pay them via PayPal and stuff. So if you needed somebody to park in your experience, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that it could happen.
Galileo.
All right. Listen, you guys know this better than I do. Anyways, so we don't know the answer to that. Okay, I think that's it. And before I get myself in trouble, let's go ahead and end this. Everybody, thanks for coming by. It's a good session of questions and answers and some feedback. Of course, if you have any more feedback or questions, go ahead and drop them in Discord, and we'll try to get the answers to you as soon as we can. And all right, everybody say goodbye to the internet.
Well, it'll still be there, just...
Thanks, everyone.
No, I'm ending the internet right now.
Okay.
It's this box with this big red blinking light on the top of it.
They put it right next to my desk in my aubergine chair, so mistakes were made.
Don't push the button.
It's gone.